What's happening, guys? So if you're an old school sport bike fan and you've been away from motorcycles for a hot minute, life happens, right? But you're looking to get back into sport bike riding, and really you're looking for that GSX-R 600 type of a motorcycle that you used to ride back in the day, that R6 that would spin to 16,000 RPM, that would just rip canyons apart. Well, you might be discovering that those motorcycles really don't exist anymore. They're becoming fewer and farther between, with only a couple of the 600cc Hypersport class bikes left on offer for sale on the street. Now, you might be wondering, why is that? What happened to my favorite Hypersport motorcycle? Well, the market changed since you decided to take a hiatus, and the reality is that people just kind of quit buying those bikes. Having a motorcycle that revs to 16 or 17,000 RPM in some cases is great when you're really ripping, but the reality is that most folks discovered that they just weren't riding the motorcycle like that all the time. They wanted a motorcycle that was going to be more responsive and really more street oriented. And when I say street oriented, I mean an engine that is going to perform and pull extremely well under, say, 8,000 RPM, that offers up for new coming riders a much easier platform to get on and to ride and to learn how to ride quickly and sportingly without being overwhelmed by top end horsepower, or did not feel like they had to lean on the bike as hard to get any kind of real performance out of it. And what happened? Well, manufacturers started building parallel twins that had 270-degree firing orders. Now, why is that? Well, a parallel twin with a 270-degree firing order, well, for the same displacement, it's only going to make about 75% of the power of its four-cylinder screaming cousin. But what it will offer, except for top-end horsepower, is mid-range and bottom-end torque. That's what's going to get you off the line. That's what you're going to feel when you are at a moderate pace going through your favorite twisty roads. Now, that's not going to win any races, and it's not going to put you on any kind of podiums for sure, but the reality is that they are extremely rewarding to ride for people that are also experienced. You can talk about the entry-level rider, but there's a lot of folks that are getting back into motorcycles that, well, they don't need anything that's making 120, 140 horsepower. The reality is that they want something that is fun. It's a little bit easier to ride because of the torque delivery, but not so committed as to the old school Hypersports bikes in terms of a riding position. They want something that is nice and friendly, not something that is going to seemingly try to murder you the way that some of those old school Hypersports bikes might, or at least the way that you might remember them to. See, these new parallel twin bikes, they've got a lot of torque, they can really get moving quickly, but they do get a little bit asthmatic on the top end, but not so much that they can't still get you in trouble. It's just that it's a different type of power delivery altogether. So for you old school sport bike fans that might be looking to get back into bikes, but you don't necessarily want something that is going to try to peel the skin off of your face whenever you go try to ride the thing at a very spirited pace, these parallel twins offer a nice leisurely compromise. They'll get you kind of sporty and kind of excited to ride it. But that's really not why you ride sport bikes, is it? I mean, if it looks like a sport bike, it should absolutely perform like a sport bike. And with so few 600s for sale, in the middleweight class being so limited, if you're an old school guy, why would you not be looking for an old school middleweight hot rod? There's still one bike left that fits that bill, and it's the GSX-R 750. They still make it. It's basically the same bike. It hasn't changed in about 20 years, and it is the top of the food chain when it comes to middleweight sport bikes. It still makes quite a bit of power by comparison, 150 advertised, around 130 to the rear tire. It screams, and in my opinion, it's still the absolute best middleweight sport bike that's out there. Now, if it's my money, that's what I'm going to spend it on. But there are some 4-cylinder and 3-cylinder alternatives that you might want to take a look at. But I'm not so sure you're going to come away all that excited. What I'm talking about are these 900-ish cc middleweight sport nakeds. See, a lot of guys that are returning to motorcycling from a sport bike background, one of the things that they miss is the power. They would have liked maybe the torque of a larger displacement engine, but it's the riding position. They wanted something a little bit more comfortable, something that's not going to be as taxing. Well, look no further than the Z900 or the XSR 900. If you're looking for maybe an older school flavor, those are some motorcycles you can take a look at, but be warned, yes, they do make the horsepower that your 600 made, even though these are roughly 900 cc's. That's your first red flag. They're larger engines and they're torquier. They're more aggressively geared because they're naked, so you get a little bit different riding experience with that short gearing and the more torque, but they've got a bunch of nannies that are going to kick in, so make sure that you're okay with riding a bike with a bunch of torque and real aggressive gearing. It's not really going to get you that long-legged feel that your old GSX-R 600 might have. And they're a little bit heavy. See, it doesn't sound that good. This is all making that GSX-R 750 sound even better, considering the fact that the bikes that I just got through mentioning, those 900cc bikes, yeah, they're 20 or 30 horsepower down from the GSX-R 750. So you're always going to be pulled back into that GSX-R 750 black hole that it really is. I mean, for everybody that's ever bought a 600cc bike, they wish they'd have bought the GSX-R 750. And for a lot of guys that bought leader class bikes, true leader class motorcycles, well, they would find that guys on the old school middleweight Gixxer would not only keep up with them, but show them their taillights on the track. It's a pretty capable bike. It's the bike that I had that was my track bike back in the day. And truth be told, I've been kind of scouring the internets for another one. That's how much I like that bike. So again, if you're old school coming back into the fold, welcome. You got one choice if you're going to do it right. Get that old Gixxer 750. They still make it. It is extremely well supported by the aftermarket. You can put your old bike back together with all new parts and have a ripper for years and years to come. And with that, guys, post up your comments, let me know what you think, and we'll catch you on the next one. That's a wrap.